Hello guys, what's up? Today I'd like to talk about a topic that I find very interesting. I feel like there's a lot of changes in the video game market. Now, there's a lot of people who have for years been claiming there's going to be a new video game crash. Now, I don't think so, and here's why. There's not going to be a explicit video game crash because there's too much money in the video game industry. People will always play games, and especially with the internet, it has facilitated the culture. I feel like the game quality will get to the bare bone before it ends. Like, they're not gonna not make any games anymore. Like, they're not gonna have huge companies go out of business. I don't feel, in at least the next 10 years, you're gonna have a very stable market, I think. But it is transforming. For example, if you take a look at something that's been trending recently in social media, it's the difference between 2015 and 2016 Kickstarter backings for video games in particular. I think that there's a few games which recently the most notable one is the Mighty Number 9. Now, I've not played the game, so I must disclaim this. I don't know if it's good or not. But judging by what reviews I've seen, people tend to not like it right now. Now, I mean, they could be wrong, of course, but I feel like when there's an overwhelming negative outlook on a game, particularly one that was hyped to be a Mega Man successor, that shows that there's a lack of confidence. I feel like people are not... they're not investing themselves into independent games anymore, or not, at least through Kickstarter and other crowdfunding, because it's the consumer finds it too risky. They're going to get screwed, basically. There's exceptions. There's the sequel-esque of the Castlevania game, which Blood and something. It looks quite good from what I've seen. I just can't remember the title off the top of my head. But for the most part, people are losing confidence at buying things, and not to mention the global recession-esque type of entertainment. Like, entertainment's not being bought as quickly by the average person. I mean, you could argue that the rich people are buying more stuff, but I feel like the average person is not buying as much stuff. And you can see this by, like, just judging on from what I've experienced and what other people have told me, they're not buying as much stuff extra. At least not video games. They might be buying a new vehicle or something because the gasoline prices are very inexpensive in America right now. But back to what I was saying, though, I feel like there's major changes with the rise of casuals on the mobile game market. I feel like developers are going to be more focused on that than they already have been, and you're starting to see major titles being produced on the mobile platform. For example, Japan seems to be a bit of ahead of the curve in this department. There's a game, it's called Dot Hack New World, which is a continuation of the Dot Hack series by the CyberConnect 2 and stuff like that. Basically, you know, it's supposed to be this massive MMO kind of game, like you run around and do stuff, but they're actually making and porting really high-class games to the platforms. I mean, the Samsung Galaxy S7, I believe, has 3 gigabytes of RAM now, which, if you took a computer from, I'd say about 2007, 2008, 2 gigabytes of RAM was pretty average for an Office box. Or around that time. I mean, because the Office boxes are okay, so Office box is basically a computer you buy at, like, Office Depot or a different retailer. It's supposed to be like a budget computer. It's not supposed to be very high-end. The average computer that was running Windows XP at the time, and maybe even Vista, they're running around 2 gigabytes, maybe 4. There weren't very many people that were running 8 gigabytes, except for the hardcore gamer and people who needed it for animation. So you'll have a circumstance where the phones are basically around 2007 level technology with a little bit more enhanced photo capabilities and just video. So if they can catch up on the computing power, I mean, you're going to have a direct challenger to at least to things handhelds, at least. Like the 3DS has very solid showing for Nintendo. That's a given. But I mean, if you have a phone that's just as good or maybe even better, who's to say that they're not going to pick the phone? I think this is very important, especially with the mobile carriers deals now. You can get like a phone for like $49, then plus like monthly payments, and people are willing to do that for a phone. I mean, that's how important this has become. So I'm thinking there's a low consumer confidence. Now that brings me to my next point. I think that microtransactions, skins, pay for characters, games half released, just things of that nature are really taking a hit on the hardcore gamers. Like, I feel like people who usually buy maybe, I'd say probably 10 games a year. I mean, even if they're on sale, around 10, maybe 15 games a year, they're getting pissed off because, I mean, take a look at Valve, for example. In my opinion, I feel like Valve is being particularly, they're not really doing as much as they could be, I feel. I mean, okay, so we were promised VR and we were promised SteamOS. Okay, SteamOS was a failure. It was a flop, in my opinion. The sales were awful. It was too confusing. You released 30 machines with this operating system based off the Linux kernel, and it didn't really sell people. It was basically a subpar version of, I mean, Ubuntu or something. It wasn't that was focused on gaming. It wasn't something that, like, it didn't stand out as, wow, I want this. So you had this, and it was basically a flop. Then, okay, I mean, you must give them points for trying, I guess, but whoever came up with that wasn't really thought through that well. I mean, if they would have made like one or two machines, a high-end one and a low-end one, I felt like they would have done much better if they would have made some tweaks to the operating system. Because it kind of felt like how the video game industry was in the mid-90s or so. You had the Sega Saturn, you had like even the late Genesis even, and then you Super Nintendo. But then you had like the Atari Jaguar, and then you had like the Philips CDI, and then you had like the Nintendo, what was the crappy system? It was like the Walkboy or something. It was something really dumb. And you had all these systems, and then you even had like the SNK machines and stuff like that. And it's like there was no central system, so you had like, and then you had the Sega Saturn, and then, I mean, it wasn't centralized. You had all this extra crap, and it's like people picked the ones that had the most backing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if they put their investment into like two machines, they would have done far better, I felt. And they didn't advertise the damn thing at all. Like, the only people who knew about it were people who follow like tech channels and stuff. The main populace had the same problem with the Wii U and the Wii. They thought the Wii U was just a peripheral for the Wii. I mean, they're like, oh, why am I paying $300 for another Wii and then a big controller? You know, it didn't make sense to the general populace. So you had that problem. But I feel like Valve, ever since the release of Dota 2, hasn't been on its A game. They released what? Portal was either released, it was released before or after, but besides Portal 2, man, they really haven't done anything substantial. I mean, maybe updated Team Fortress 2, and then Source 2, which hasn't come out, I don't believe. They really haven't been producing the games like they used to be. Now, you could argue, well, they're financially stable, so why would they do that? Well, I mean, if you want a company to keep growing, you should take risks, and I feel like they're not taking as many risks. That's one of the reasons, apparently, according to Valve employees, that Half-Life 3 was never developed, is because they saw what happened to Mass Effect 3, and because Mass Effect 3 had a lot of public outlash, they felt like it wasn't worth their time. Like, they didn't feel like they could make a game that could keep up with the hype, and that's really what killed it now. And then I can see, I guess that's smart from a business perspective, but it's a scaredy cat mentality that exists with a lot of companies now that provides a lot of problems for just average people who want to play something new. But yeah, I feel like the gaming market's definitely taking a downturn in certain departments. Now, one thing you can definitely tell, the health of the gaming community in general is changing in the fact that people are more watching games than they are playing now, which it's basically sort of a bystander effect, because, I mean, people could be playing games. Why aren't you playing them? Why are you watching them? But it's more like a personality thing. It's a continuation. I feel like Twitch TV has really extended the YouTube lifetime, because YouTube was kind of, I mean, people were getting more subscribers and whatnot, but in general, YouTube has kind of been going downhill with the copyright thing, and then then you got like the drama, and then you got different things like that. So people are kind of getting turned off the YouTube. They don't watch as many videos that are stuff like that. I mean, the interface is better, but there's just a general sense that there's a decline in YouTube, or at least people have been claiming this for quite a while. So I think the gaming community is still alive and well, but I feel like it's very changing with Twitch and other things. Now, if somebody could capitalize on that, maybe make interactive games. One thing I noticed very prevalent was the Let's Play Pokemon, where people could press A or B on the Twitch chat, and then they could move the characters and stuff like that. I feel like if somebody can make games that involve more viewer interaction, they'd have a gold mine if they can pull it off with the latency delays and everything. If they can pull it off, then yeah, you're talking some serious money, I imagine. But I think there's a general decline in just consumer confidence, at least in the video game industry, and it's a shame. But I feel like you're going to see much more of a preference towards the indie community in the following years. I mean, they've been saying it's going to happen for years now, but I think it's really taking off now with games like Five Nights at Freddy's, and you got Undertale was a very big one, and just other games, and even Minecraft even was a large one. So I think it'll be very interesting to talk about it and just watch and see what happens. Okay, guys, sorry I kind of rambled in this video, but I thought it would just be kind of fun to talk about what I thought about just the general trend of gaming and just where things are headed. Feel free to leave a comment. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.